Sure, here's a long, emotionally rich story titled, Lost Love, crafted for a 15-minute English listening practice YouTube video. It's written with smooth pacing, plain paragraph formatting, and emotional depth, and it ends with an inspiring message. English listening practice through story, Lost Love. They say the heart remembers what the mind forgets. It was a cold October evening when James found himself standing outside a small cafe in the corner of Maple Street, staring at a face he hadn't seen in 10 years, but one he could never forget. Her name was Claire. She looked almost the same, maybe a little older, a little wiser, but still with that quiet grace that had once made James believe in forever. For a moment, he didn't know whether to walk inside or turn and run. After all these years, what would he even say? James hadn't planned this encounter. In fact, he had come back to town only to settle his late uncle's estate. Life had pulled him away from everything he once knew, college, career, the chaos of the city, and now it had brought him back, if only for a few days. He never expected to see her again. Claire, the girl he once promised a lifetime to. Back then, they were young, just 19, and in love the way only young hearts can be, passionately, recklessly, and with the belief that nothing could ever come between them. They spent long evenings talking about dreams, about traveling the world, building a home, maybe even writing a book together. Their love was not perfect, but it was real. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Claire had received a scholarship to study art in Paris. James had just started his engineering program in Boston. They promised to try the long distance. "We'll make it work," she had said, holding his hand at the train station, her eyes wet with hope. Love like ours doesn't just disappear. For the first year, they called every night, wrote letters, and sent gifts across the ocean. But over time, the calls became less frequent, the letters fewer. Life in Paris was fast, new, exciting. James, buried in his books and part-time job, found it harder to connect. The time zones stretched not just their schedules, but their hearts. One evening, Claire called and cried softly. "I don't want this to end," she whispered. But they both knew. Distance wasn't just about miles. It was about missing the moments in between, the morning coffee, the quiet walks, the late-night talks that never happened. They parted with love still in their hearts, but reality tugging at their dreams. It wasn't a fight, just a slow goodbye. Now, 10 years later, James stood frozen outside the cafe, wondering if she would remember him the same way. Then she looked up. Their eyes met, and in that brief second, the world seemed to pause. Claire blinked, surprised, then slowly smiled. A gentle, familiar smile. James walked in. "Claire," he said softly. "James." "Wow," she said, standing. I didn't think I'd ever see you again." They sat. The air between them was filled with questions, memories, and things left unsaid. Over warm tea and nervous laughter, they talked about where life had taken them. Claire was back in town for a local art exhibit. James spoke of his job designing bridges, of how the city never quite felt like home. "It's funny," Claire said, stirring her tea, "how we both found our way back here." He nodded. "I think some places call us back when we have unfinished stories." There was a long silence. "Did you ever regret it?" she asked finally. James looked down, then into her eyes. "I missed you every single day, but I knew you had to go. And maybe we had to lose each other to find ourselves." Claire's eyes softened. "I used to paint us. All the time. Little pieces of memories. I guess I was trying to hold on." They both smiled, a little sad, a little grateful. They spent the next hour walking through the autumn streets, laughing at old jokes, reminiscing about days long gone. The city hadn't changed much, but they had. They weren't the same dreamers they once were, but maybe they were better versions of themselves. Wiser, stronger, more open to possibility. As they reached the old bookstore where they used to spend hours, James turned to her. "I don't know what tomorrow looks like. But I do know this. Seeing you today reminded me of something important." "What's that?" she asked. "That some loves don't fade. They just wait, quietly, until we're ready again." Claire looked at him, a tear sliding down her cheek, and nodded. "Maybe this time, we don't let it go." That evening, under the fading light of the street lamp, they didn't kiss or promise forever. But they exchanged numbers, hugged a little longer than friends do, and walked away smiling, knowing that some chapters take years to return to, but they're worth the wait. Moral of the story: sometimes love is not about holding on tightly, but about letting go at the right time and trusting that what's meant to be will find its way back. Life changes, people grow, and time moves forward, but true love, lost or delayed, can still find its way home. Would you like this narrated version with pacing and pauses suited for listening practice? Or should I help create subtitles or lesson points based on it?